Welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Gisela K, and today I'm going to offer you a clean, crisp read-through of the documents in the DELPHI case. Yesterday in a live stream, or depending on when you're watching this, we went live with the breaking news of this probable cause affidavit being unsealed, even though it's still redacted. But I know that for some of you, the interruptions and the live stream chats, it's just not your thing. So I'm going to read through the two documents just in one go for you now. If you like that sort of thing, please hit the thumbs up, share the video as well, hashtag Grizzly True Crime, hashtag Abby and Libby, hashtag Justice for Abby and Libby, and hashtag DELPHI. All of those help to categorize it all together really nicely. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do that as well. So let's get into this document. Thank you to The Docket, who is at ChasingPaper89 on Twitter. Thank you for sending me this. I really, really love documents and really always appreciate them. So this is State of Indiana, County of Carroll, State of Indiana versus Richard M. Allen, date of birth 9/9/1972, count 1, murder. As we know, we've looked at those charges in detail as well, exactly what they mean, the 3542 1-1-2 in brackets. So please check out that episode as well. Nicholas C. McClelland, being first duly sworn upon his oath, says that on or about February 13, 2017, in the county of Carroll, the state of Indiana, Richard M. Allen did kill another human being, to wit, victim 1, while committing or attempting to commit kidnapping of victim 1. All of which is in contrary to the form of statute in such cases made and provided, to wit, IC 3542 1-1-2, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Indiana. I affirm under the penalty of perjury as specified in IC 3544 1-2-1 that the foregoing representations are true. Approved by me this date, October 27th, 2022. My term expires December 31st, 2022, Nicholas C. McClelland. And then we have count 2 as well, being first and duly sworn. It's the same thing, February 13th, and this is everything for victim number 2. So same dates, signed by Nicholas C. McClelland. So that is this updated document, and now let's look at the redacted, unsealed, probable cause affidavit. State of Indiana versus Richard M. Allen, probable cause affidavit. I've got 7 pages here. The other pages are literally the formalities, the redacted stuff, some of it blank and everything. This is all the information that we need right here. So that's what I'm going to read to you, of course, to keep this episode as well nice and short. I, the undersigned affiant, submit the following information pursuant to IC 35337-2 as a sworn affidavit setting forth the facts and circumstances known to law enforcement of Carroll County as the basis for probable cause to arrest without a warrant or to establish probable cause for issuance of an arrest warrant for the above named defendant. That the facts and circumstances described below would be sufficient basis for a person of reasonable caution and prudence to believe that the accused has committed or attempted to commit the offences described, and that if arrested without a warrant, such would be authorized under IC 3533 1-1. That the hearsay statements of witnesses contained herein are considered reliable and credible due to the witness's personal knowledge and or are corroborated by the totality of the circumstances. That on February 14th, 2017, victim 1 and victim 2 were found deceased in the woods approximately 0.2 miles northeast of the Monon High Bridge in Carroll County. Their bodies were located on the north side of Deer Creek. At the time, the Monon High Bridge Trail was an approximately 1-mile gravel trail terminating at the Monon High Bridge. The Monon High Bridge is an abandoned railroad trestle, approximately 0.25 miles long, spanning the Deer Creek and Deer Creek Valley on the southeast end of the trail. Approximately 0.7 miles northwest on the trail from the northwestern edge of the Monon High Bridge is the Freedom Bridge, which is a pedestrian bridge spanning State Road 25. Approximately 350 feet west of Freedom Bridge was a former railroad overpass over Old State Road 25, also known as County Road 300 North. The trail terminates just west of the former railroad overpass. The majority of the trail is in a wooded area with a steep embankment on the south side of the trail. The entirety of the trail and the location of the girls' bodies were and are located in Carroll County, Indiana. Through interviews, reviews of electronic records, and review of video at the Hoosier Harvest Store, Investigators believe victim 1 and victim 2 were dropped off across from the Mears farm at 1:49 p.m. on February 13th, 2017 by, that's redacted. We know who they were dropped off by, but it's redacted. The Mears farm is located on the north side of County Road 300 North near an entrance to the trails. A video from victim 2's phone shows that at 2:13 p.m., victim 1 and victim 2 encountered a male subject on the southeast portion of the Monon High Bridge. The male ordered the girls, "Guys, down the hill." No witnesses saw them after this time. No outgoing communications were found on victim 2's phone after this time. Their bodies were discovered on February 14th, 2017. The video recovered from victim 2's phone shows victim 1 walking southeast on the Monon High Bridge while a male subject wearing a dark jacket and jeans walks behind her. As the male subject approaches victim 1 and 2, one of the victims mentions gun. Near the end of the video, a male is seen and heard telling the girls, "Guys, down the hill." The girls then begin to proceed down the hill and the video ends. A still photograph taken from the video and the "Guys Down the Hill" audio was subsequently released to the public to assist investigators in identifying the male. Victim 1 and victim 2's deaths were ruled as homicides. Clothes were found in the Deer Creek belonging to victim 1 and victim 2, south of where their bodies were located. There was also a .40 caliber unspent round less than 2 feet away from victim 2's body, between victim 1 and victim 2's bodies. The round was unspent and had extraction marks on it. Interviews were conducted with 3 juveniles, redacted and redacted. They advised they were on the Monon High Bridge Trail on February 13th, 2017. They advised they were walking on the trail toward Freedom Bridge to go home when they encountered a male walking from Freedom Bridge toward the Monon High Bridge. Witness described the male as kinda creepy and advised he was wearing like blue jeans, a like really light blue jacket, and his hair was gray, maybe a little brown, and he did not really show his face. She advised the jacket was a duck canvas type jacket. The witness advised that she said hi to the male, but he just glared at them. She recalled him being in all black and had something covering his mouth. She described him as not very tall with a bigger build. She said he was not bigger than 5'10", and advised that he was wearing a black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. She stated he had his hands in his pockets. They showed investigators photographs that she took on her phone while she was on the trail that day. The photographs included a photo of the Monon High Bridge taken at 12:43 p.m. and another one taken at 1:26 p.m. of the bench east of Freedom Bridge. They advised after she took the photo of the bench, they started walking back toward Freedom Bridge. She advised that was when they encountered the man who matched the description of the photograph taken from victim 2's video. They described the man that she encountered on the trail as wearing a blue or black windbreaker jacket. She advised the jacket had a collar and he had his hood up from the clothing underneath his jacket. She advised he was wearing baggy jeans and was taller than her. She advised her head came up to approximately his shoulder. She advised that she said hi to the man and that he said nothing back. She stated he was walking with a purpose, like he knew where he was going. She stated he had his hands in his pockets and kept his head down. She advised she did not get a good look at his face, but believed him to be a white male. The girls advised after encountering the male, they continued their walk across Freedom Bridge and the old railroad bridge over Old State Road 25. Investigators spoke with, redacted, who advised she was on the trails on February 13, 2017. Video from the Hoosier Harvester captured, redacted, vehicle traveling eastbound at 1:46 p.m. toward the entrance across from the Mears farm. She advised she saw 4 juvenile females walking on the bridge over Old State Road 25 as she was driving underneath on her way to park. She advised there were no other cars parked across from the Mears farm when she parked. She advised she walked to the Monon High Bridge and observed a male matching the one from victim 2's video. She described the male she saw as a white male wearing blue jeans and a blue jacket. She advised he was standing on the first platform of the Monon High Bridge, approximately 50 feet from her. She advised she turned around at the bridge and continued her walk. She advised approximately halfway between the bridge and the parking area across from the Mears farm, she passed two girls walking toward Monon High Bridge. She advised she believed the girls were victim 1 and victim 2. Video from the Hoosier Harvest store shows at 1:49 p.m. a white car matching redacted vehicle traveling away from the entrance across from the Mears farm. She advised she finished her walk and saw no other adults other than the male on the bridge. Her vehicle is seen on the Hoosier Harvest store video at 2:14 p.m. leaving westbound from the trails. She advised she was leaving when she noted a vehicle was parked in an odd manner at the old Child Protective Services building. She said it was not odd for vehicles to be parked there, but she noticed it was odd because of the manner that it was parked, backed in near the building. Investigators received a tip from redacted in which he stated he was on his way to Delphi on State Road 25 around 2:10 p.m. on February 13, 2017. He observed a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV type vehicle parked on the south side of the old CPS building. He stated it appeared as though it was backed in as to conceal the license plate of the vehicle. Redacted both drew diagrams of where they saw the vehicle parked, and their diagrams generally matched as to the area the vehicle was parked and the manner in which it was parked. Witnesses advised that he remembered seeing a smaller, dark-colored car parked at the old CPS building. He described it as possibly being a smart car. The witness vehicle is seen leaving at 2:28 p.m. on the Hoosier Harvest store video. Investigators spoke with redacted, who stated that she was traveling east on 300 North on February 13, 2022, and observed a male subject walking west on the north side of 300 North away from Monon High Bridge. She advised that the male subject was wearing a blue-colored jacket and blue jeans and was muddy and bloody. She further stated that it appeared he had gotten into a fight. Investigators were able to determine from watching the video from the Hoosier Harvest store that redacted was traveling on CR 300 North at approximately 3:57 p.m. Through interviews, electronic data, photographs, and video from the Hoosier Harvest store, investigators determined that there were other people on the trail that day after 2:13 p.m. Those people were interviewed, and none of those individuals encountered the male subject referenced above, witnessed by the juvenile girls, redacted and redacted. Further, none of those individuals witnessed victim 1 and victim 2. Investigators reviewing prior tips encountered a tip narrative from an officer who interviewed Richard M. Allen in 2017. That narrative stated, Mr. Allen was on the trail between 13:30 to 15:30. Of course, that's between 1:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw 3 females. He noted one was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember description and did not speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trailhead, however, did not pay attention to them. He did not take any photos or video. His cell phone did not list an IMEI, but did have the following: MEID 256-691-463-100, 153-495, MEID HEX 9900 2470-25797. Potential follow-up information: who were the 3 girls walking in the area of Freedom Bridge? Investigators believe Mr. Allen was referring to the former Child Protective Services building, as there was not a Farm Bureau building in the area, nor had there been. Investigators believe the females he saw included redacted and redacted due to the time that they were leaving the trail, the time he reported getting to the trail, and the descriptions the 3 females gave. Investigators discovered Richard Allen owned 2 vehicles in 2017, a 2016 black Ford Focus and a 2006 gray Ford 500. Investigators observed a vehicle that resembled Allen's 2016 Ford Focus on the Hoosier Harvest store video at 1:27 p.m., traveling westbound on CR 300 North in front of the Hoosier Harvest Store, which coincided with his statement that he arrived around 1:30 p.m. at the trails. Investigators note witnesses described the vehicle parked at the former Child Protective Services building as a PT Cruiser, small SUV, or a smart car. Investigators believe those descriptions are similar in nature to a 2016 Ford Focus. On October 13, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised he was on the trails on February 13, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails east of Freedom Bridge and that he went onto the Monon High Bridge. Richard Allen further stated he went out onto the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. Later in his statement, he said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. He stated he then walked back, sat on a bench on the trail, and left. He stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. He told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised he may have been wearing some type of head covering as well. He further claimed he saw no one else except for the juvenile girls he saw east of Freedom Bridge. He told investigators that he owns firearms and they are at his home. Richard M. Allen's wife, Kathy Allen, also spoke to investigators. She confirmed that Richard did have guns and knives at the residence. She also stated that Richard still owns a blue Carhartt jacket. On October 13, 2022, investigators executed a search warrant of Richard Allen's residence at 1967 North Whiteman Drive, Delphi, Carroll County, Indiana. Among other items, officers located jackets, boots, knives, and firearms, including a Sig Sauer model P226 40 caliber pistol with serial number U625627. Between October 14, 2022 and October 19, 2022, the Indiana State Police Laboratory performed an analysis on Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The laboratory performed a physical examination and classification of the firearm, function test, barrel, and overall length measurement, test firing, ammunition component characterization, microscopic comparison, and NIBIN. The laboratory determined the unspent round located within 2 feet of victim 2's body that had been cycled through Richard M. Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The laboratory remarked, "An identification opinion is reached when the evidence exhibits an agreement of class characteristics and a sufficient agreement of individual marks. Sufficient agreement is related to the significant duplication of random, striated or impressed marks as evidenced by the correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns of surface contours. The interpretation of identification is subjective in nature and based on relevant scientific research and the reporting examiner's training experience. Investigators then ran the firearm and found that the firearm was purchased by Richard Allen in 2001. Richard Allen voluntarily came to the Indiana State Police Post on October 26, 2022. He spoke with investigators and stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow the Sig Sauer model P226 firearm. When asked about the unspent bullet, he did not have an explanation of why the bullet was found between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2. He again admitted that he was on the trail but denied knowing victim 1 or victim 2 and denied any involvement in their murders. Carroll County Sheriff's Department Detective, redacted, has been part of the investigation since it started in 2017. He has had an opportunity to review and examine evidence gathered in this investigation. Detective, redacted, along with other investigators, believe the evidence gathered shows that Richard Allen is the male subject seen on the video from victim 2's phone who forced the victims down the hill. Further, that the victims were forced down the hill by Richard Allen and led to the location where they were murdered. Through the statements and photographs of the juvenile females and a statement of redacted and redacted were at the southeast edge of the trail at 12:43 p.m. east of Freedom Bridge at 1:26 p.m. and walked across the former railroad overpass over Old State Road 25 after 1:26 p.m. and before 1:46 p.m. They walked the entirety of the trail and observed only one person, an adult male. Redacted, vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvest Store video at 1:46 p.m. and leaving at 2:14 p.m. And she stated she only saw one adult male. Blank and blank described the male in similar manners, wearing similar clothing, leading investigators to believe all four saw the same male individual. Investigators believe the male observed by redacted and redacted is the same male depicted in the video from victim 2's phone due to the descriptions of the male by the four females matching the male in the video. Furthermore, victim 2's video was taken at 2:13 p.m. and, redacted, saw only one male while she was on the trail from approximately 1:46 p.m. to 2:14 p.m. Investigators believe Richard Allen was the male seen by blank and blank and the male seen in victim 2's video. Richard Allen told investigators he was on the trail from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. that day. Video from Hoosier Harvest Store shows a vehicle that matches the description of Richard Allen's vehicle passing at 1:27 p.m. toward the former CPS building. The clothing he told investigators he was wearing matched the clothing of the male in victim 2's video, and the clothing descriptions provided by witness and witness. A vehicle matching the description of his 2016 Ford Focus is seen at or around 2:10 p.m., 2:14 p.m., and 2:28 p.m. at the former CPS building. Through his own admissions, Richard Allen walked the trails and eventually hiked to the Monon High Bridge and walked out onto the Monon High Bridge. A male subject matching Richard Allen's description was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. Investigators identified other individuals on the trails or CR 300 North between 2:30 p.m. and 4:11 p.m. None of those individuals saw a male subject matching the description of Richard Allen on the trail. Furthermore, Richard Allen stated that he only saw 3 girls on the trail, who investigators believe to be all redacted. Investigators believe Richard Allen was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. because he was in the woods with victim 1 and 2. An unspent .40 caliber round between the bodies of victim 1 and 2 was forensically determined to have been cycled through Richard Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. The Sig Sauer model P226 was found at Richard Allen's residence, and he admitted to owning it. Investigators were able to determine that he had owned it since 2001. Richard Allen stated he had not been on that property where the unspent round was found, that he did not know the property owner, and that he had no clue as to why a round cycled through his firearm would be at that location. Furthermore, he stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow the Sig Sauer model P226. Investigators believe that after the victims were murdered, Richard Allen returned to his vehicle by walking down CR 300 North. Investigators believe he was seen by redacted walking back to his vehicle on CR 300 North with clothes that were muddy and bloody. Redacted, along with investigators, believe the statements made by the witnesses because the statements corroborate the timeline of the death of the 2 victims as well as coincide with the admissions made by Richard Allen. Further, the accounts relayed by blank and blank are similar in nature, and timestamps on photographs taken by correspond to the times the juvenile females said they were on the trail and saw the male individual. And then there's also this document, State of Indiana versus Richard Allen. Verified motion for change of venue from the county. Comes now the accused Richard Allen by and through counsel Brad Rosie and Andrew J. Baldwin, and pursuant to Criminal Rule 12A of the Indiana Rules of Criminal Procedure, request that this court change venue from Carroll County. In support of said motion, the accused and his counsel swears and affirms the following. On October 28, 2022, the state of Indiana filed a probable cause affidavit and charging information alleging that Richard Allen murdered victim 1 and victim 2 on or about February 13, 2017. That the allegations stem from the highly publicized death of 2 Carroll County teenagers. That even before Richard Allen had been accused of these crimes, the matter had been highly publicized. The extensive media attention began while the victims were missing. The extensive media attention continued after the victims were found. The extensive media attention continued for the next 80 months, 5+ years, in a variety of formats until Richard Allen was arrested. A. Coverage on local, statewide, and national television media. B. Coverage on local, statewide, and national print media. And C. Coverage on several podcasts that reach local, state, national, and international audiences. D. Coverage on the internet in a variety of social media platforms, including Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, and Facebook. The media coverage included multiple press conferences by state and local authorities, including press conferences in which the elected prosecutor participated. The extensive media attention continued after Richard Allen was arrested, including the following. Coverage on local, statewide, and national television media. It's the same as what they said before, right? Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, everything, podcasts. After the arrest of Richard Allen, a press conference was held by state and local authorities. Although it could be argued that the amount of publicity that this particular case has received in the past 5+ years will make it difficult to find a jury that has not heard of this case, Richard Allen's defense team has gleaned statistical data that would strongly indicate that moving the case or trial just 150 miles away would significantly reduce the likelihood of obtaining a tainted jury. That since his arrest, data procured from Google Trends and Google Ads details the amount of internet interest through Google searches for Richard Allen, and the data is quite telling. During the month of October, the search for Richard Allen in Carroll County ranged between 1,000 and 10,000 searches for a county with just over 20,000 residents. B. On average, around 1 in every 2, 50% of Carroll County residents have conducted online searches of Richard Allen during the month of October following his arrest. C. Comparatively speaking, Fort Wayne is a city with over 260,000 residents, roughly 13 times the size of Carroll County. In the month of October following his arrest, the average monthly searches for Richard Allen in Fort Wayne ranged between 1,000 and 10,000 searches. D. On average, therefore, 1 in every 26, so 3.8462%, residents in Fort Wayne have performed an online search of Richard Allen, compared to 1 in every 2, 50%, residents of Carroll County conducting the same internet search of Richard Allen after his arrest. Fort Wayne is less than 100 miles from Delphi, but in that 100 miles, internet searches fell from roughly 50% of residents in Carroll County Googling Richard Allen to less than 5% of residents Googling Richard Allen. I told you guys, from that Idaho case, sometimes Google Trends can be useful. If you missed that, go check it out. This would mean that Carroll County residents have searched Richard Allen over 10 times more often than those residents in Fort Wayne, a city less than 100 miles from Delphi. Presumably, jury pools from counties even farther away would have searched Richard Allen. In addition, according to various sources, as many as 300 people were actively involved in the search of the 2 victims while they were missing. The 2022 population of Delphi, Indiana is under 3,000 residents, and therefore it may be the case that as much as roughly 10% of the Delphi population was actively involved in participating for the search of the victims, and presumably therefore arguably heavily invested in the matter and the outcome of this case. Those involved in the search for the victims, in addition to showing a strong investment in the case, arguably could be called as a witness, or at a minimum, their involvement in the search should prevent them from serving on the jury, as they may have information concerning the layout of the area searched that could infect the jury, and have opinions based upon their involvement in the search for the victims. Additionally, arguably any of the family and friends of anyone involved in the search for the victims could be tainted as well from serving on a jury. Additionally, many Carroll County residents have been involved in some aspect of this case, whether it be in an investigative capacity, police, or as fact witnesses that could be called as witnesses in the case, or those that searched for the victims, or residents who simply are interested in the matter and have conducted their own independent investigation. Additionally, because of the small number of residents in Carroll County, juxtaposed against the large percentage of the population that may have been involved in one of the capacities detailed in the previous paragraph, the likelihood for a tainted jury pool is excessive. During the 5 years following the disappearance of the victims, the Indiana State Police and other law enforcement agencies established an active command post in Delphi to conduct interviews and press conferences, all of which increased the interest in the investigation. This increased exposure lends itself to the tainting of jurors and increased possibility of a biased jury panel. While it is impossible for the defense to accurately predict having received only minimal discovery, it is likely that the law enforcement investigation has conducted possibly hundreds of interviews of potential witnesses and other community members that may or may not have information regarding the crime. Again, the raw number of people in the Carroll County community directly or indirectly involved with the investigation, juxtaposed with a small number of residents in Carroll County, render it impossible to find jurors without connection to the case or to someone involved in the case or without preconceived notions about Richard Allen's guilt or innocence. Presumably, residents from other counties around Indiana, especially further away from Carroll County, will not include any residents who are fact witnesses or friends and family of fact witnesses, or those involved in the investigation, or those that have conducted their own investigation or participated in the search of the victims, or who have entrenched opinions on the case based on, in part, their knowledge of witnesses or facts from the case. It is common sense to presume that residents from counties further away from Carroll County will not have the same level of investment in the case, and therefore will be able to more fairly decide the matter without concern about how their verdict may affect their relationships with other Carroll County residents. Additionally, the amount of media coverage of the case has been so extensive that the court was compelled to engage numerous law enforcement personnel to ensure the safety and security of all actors, including the accused, from any actual or perceived threats of harm that surrounded a somewhat simple pretrial hearing in this case. Subjecting potential jurors to such an environment in what may be a multi-week trial would undoubtedly distract jurors to a point that impartiality could not be obtained. Additionally, the fact that the prosecutor requested that the probable cause affidavit be sealed and that the original sitting judge, I don't know how to say those words, say sponte, recused himself from the case is anecdotal evidence that both the prosecutor and prior judge also recognized the magnitude of interest and publicity in this case and the practical problems associated with the interest and publicity in Carroll County. Additionally, Richard Allen was a community member who for many years worked at CVS in Delphi. As CVS is the type of business that is commonly visited by the general public, Richard Allen would have come in close contact with many of the Delphi and Carroll County citizens, creating another real concern of a high probability of bias among potential jurors in Carroll County. That Richard Allen's defense team believes the best means to avoid a tainted jury pool and to receive a fair venue for both sides would be to venue the matter to a county at least 150 miles from Carroll County and to conduct the jury trial in the chosen county. I swear, under penalties of perjury, that the statements contained in this pleading are true and accurate to the best of my knowledge. Richard Allen, you can see he's signed over there. Damn, if I'm not a handwriting analyst or anything like that, but just look at that compared to the other signatures. Shame. He's feeling small right now. Richard Allen, Andrew J. Baldwin, attorney for Richard Allen, certificate of service, also Andrew J. Baldwin. I mean, we knew this was coming as well. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Concise, reading through documents. I know some of you have requested that as well. If you saw the live stream as well, thank you so much for watching that too. Really appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe, become one of us, a Grizzly, become part of this wonderful community. Hit the like, share if you can, hashtag Delphi, hashtag Justice for Abby and Libby, hashtag Grizzly True Crime. I'm on Twitter, at Grizzly Gisela. I'm also on TikTok, and I've got a website, grizzlytruecrime.com, where all the links are for everything. So, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.